Hello, welcome to the birthplace of Country Music Museum's virtual story time. I'm Barbara, and today we're going to read Georgia Music, written by Helen Griffith, illustrated by James Stevenson. Special thanks goes to HarperCollins, who gave permission for us to share this book with you. And now, let's see what's going on with Georgia Music. An old man lived by himself in a cabin near the railroad tracks in the state of Georgia. He spent his winters doing odd jobs and watching the trains go by and thinking about old times. But as soon as it was spring, he put on his straw hat, pulled his hoe out from under the porch, and chopped out a good-sized patch of garden beside the cabin. Then all summer long he worked in that garden, growing collards and melons and black-eyed peas. One summer, the old man's daughter took the train from Baltimore to Georgia for a visit, and she took her own daughter along with her. After a few days, she had to get back to Baltimore, but she left the girl there with her grandfather for the whole long summer. The old man never said how he felt about that, but he didn't seem to mind. The girl didn't mind either. She liked it right away. She liked the hot garden patch with its green rows of seedlings, and she liked the little cabin that shook when the trains thundered by. When she stopped being shy of her grandfather, she liked him too. She followed him around his garden while he worked, and sometimes she stepped on the little green seedlings, but if the old man noticed, he never said anything. He found an old straw hat and a hoe that wasn't too heavy and showed her how to chop weeds. It was hard work, and at first she was clumsy at it, but the old man said he didn't know how he'd ever do it without her. They would work all morning, their hoes going click, chick, up and down the rows, while a mockingbird flew from fence post to fence post, flapping his wings and singing noisy songs at them. "Sassy old bird," the man would say, and the girl would say it too. "Sassy old bird," and they would look at each other and laugh out loud. At noon, they sat under a tree and ate their lunch, and then they would lie back on the grass and rest. The old man would pull his straw hat over his face, and the girl would make a pillow out of hers and lie looking up at the leaves and the sky. It was so quiet that they could hear the leaves touching each other, and the bumblebees bumbling, and the crickets and grasshoppers whirring and scratching. And every now and then the old man would nod his head under his straw hat and say, "Now that's music." Then they would go to sleep under the tree while the summer sounds went on and on in their ears and in their brains. In the evenings, the two of them sat out on the rickety porch steps, and the old man played tunes on his mouth organ. He knew a lot of songs, and he taught the words to the girl so she could sing with the music. The old man said he was really playing for the crickets and grasshoppers because they made music for him in the daytime. He said they liked it, and the girl thought so too. At night they went to sleep hearing the katydids and the tree frogs and the chuckwheel widows singing and singing, and some nights The mockingbird called nearly all night long. Then the girl would smile to herself and whisper, "Sassy old bird." When September came, the girl didn't want to go home, and she could see her grandfather was sorry too. Her mother promised that she could come back next summer, and they had to be satisfied with that. But the next summer wasn't the same. The girl and her mother knew something was wrong as soon as they saw the cabin. Weeds were growing through the steps, and a wild rose bush had almost taken over the porch. They found the old man sitting in a chair with a quilt over his lap and his eyes closed. "I ain't sick," he told them, "just mighty tired." But they closed up the cabin and took him back with them to Baltimore. The girl knew he was sicker than he said, or he never would have gone. There was nothing wrong with their home in Baltimore, but the old man wasn't happy there. He sat in a chair looking worried and sad, and the girl knew he was thinking of the old cabin and the garden that didn't get planted that year. She tried to talk to him, but nothing seemed to interest him, and it just wasn't like it had been in Georgia. One day, the girl got out the old man's mouth organ and put it in his hands. "Play me a tune, Granddaddy," she said, but he just held the mouth organ in his hand and looked at it. The girl took it back and put her lips on it and blew, and when the old man heard the sound, his eyes opened wide and he looked right at her, something he never did anymore. So she made more sounds out of the mouth organ, and then she began blowing in and out, finding out how it worked, and the last she was able to play a little tune on it. "Did you like that, Granddaddy?" she asked, but she already knew he did. From then on, the girl sat with her grandfather every day and practiced playing the mouth organ until she began to be good at it. She taught herself all of the old songs her grandfather had played for her, and she played them over and over. One day, after she had played everything she knew, she found herself playing a different kind of music and making up brand new songs. Except it wasn't exactly music, and they weren't real songs. They were the sounds she remembered from that Georgia summer. Cricket chirps, tree frog trills, and bee buzzes and bird twitters. She shut her eyes and swayed back and forth, and she could almost feel the hot sun on her back and the hoe handle in her hands. And for a while, it was like being right back in Georgia. We hope you enjoyed reading with us today, and it made you want to read a lot more books. Special thanks once again to HarperCollins for her permission to share Georgia music with you. Finally, a big thank you for being with us today during the Birthplace of Country Music Museum's virtual story time, and for your support of the Birthplace of Country Music Museum. We'll be back on May 21st with a new book to read together.